I am Joshuaalaforgia, and I hope you'll join me on this journey to forging a better future. To all my beautiful people of YouTube, today what we're going to do is I'm going to take you over my third project that we're doing. It is a JavaScript project. Over the last 3 days, I have learned HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and SQL. And today we're going to look at JavaScript. I'm going to take you over how to set up your own JavaScript lab, and let's get to it. So, before we get started, the name that I have chosen for today is Emmeline. The name Emmeline is of German descent, and it means she who strives for excellence. So, if you learned something today, or you found that interesting, if you'll hit that thumbs up down below, I'd really appreciate it. So, I thought I'd kind of take you over what we're going to do in this video. We're going to take you to the browser and show you Microsoft Visual Studio, which is one thing that I use to practice my JavaScript on. Anyone can practice JavaScript anywhere. I personally use Notepad++. But you can do it in Notepad, and all you have to do is save the text file as an HTML file, and then you can open it up in your browser with whichever browser that you currently use. So I thought I'd show you that first, and then I'd take you over what I've learned so far with JavaScript, which is the very basics, but I can do some cool things that I thought you guys might find useful. And then I was going to take you over the parameters of my project, and we'll just kind of go through it step by step. These videos may be kind of long, so I'm probably going to split these up into different parts. This will probably be part 1 of JavaScript, and then there's probably going to be a few more after this. So subscribe if that's something that you guys want to learn. Alright, now that we're back here on the desktop, what you want to do is you want to open up your favorite browser. From here, you want to go to code.visualstudio.com/download, and you want to download the version that's for your current operating system. Like I said, you don't have to do this. This just gives you a really good environment for learning JavaScript, and it's something that looks really nice and is separated really well. It's something that I downloaded, which is over here, but if you do, what you want to do is you want to create a new folder. So you just want to go to your folders, and then just create new wherever you want to put that folder, which mine is JavaScript right here. So I saved this JavaScript folder, and you want to save it as a .html file. When you save it as a .html file, you're able to open up that file in a new browser. So from here, once you have that file saved, you can open up Visual Studio Code. And when you open it up here, you just want to go to File, Open File, and then wherever you put your chosen file, which is in here, you just want to open that up. So here, if you just open up this file and you're in Visual Studio Code, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to delete all this. So you can actually just go here and press Shift and exclamation point and Tab, and it will give you the standard HTML layout for your HTML code. And right here in between the body, if we wanted to actually put something on the web page so that everyone could see it, we would start out kind of just like in the first video with, let's start out with a heading tag. So we'll just do H1 in lowercase, and then you want to close that tag, and then anything that we put inside here is actually going to show up as a heading on the actual page. So let's just put HTML basic lesson. Okay, and then that tag is done, so we're going to close that tag. And so if we go up here to File and Save, then we're going to go back to our browser, and you see there's nothing here, so we just have to refresh the page. Once we do, then this pops up, basic HTML basic lesson, if I could read today. So now that you have a basic environment so that you can practice your own code and experiment as much as you want, I thought I would take you over the parameters of my final project and show you what I had so far. So we're going to go to the assignment. So here's the parameters, and I'll just kind of read them out. You may or may not use a form tag. Note that there is no backend process or the program to submit the form to. So that means that if I use a form tag and I submit the actual form with the click or on submit function, then it's going to try to take me to another web page. And what this is saying is there is no other web page for it to go to. So I have to prevent the default action. Moving on. Ask a user to input their first name, last name, a user ID, and a birth date in type date format. The user ID must contain an uppercase, a lowercase, a number, and be 8 to 12 characters long. Create a JavaScript function to verify the formats of the user ID field. You will either need to use a for loop to iterate through your data fields character by character with JS functions like char.uppercase or par int char, and use regular expressions to validate the user ID format. Use the following variables with exact variable names to hold the data. UID is user ID, fname is first name, last name is last name, birthday is birthday, using type date. You have to write a function called dateDiff that accepts one data parameter and returns the number of days between the birthday provided and the current date. Create an accept button to execute functions and create the following output. If the user ID does not pass your verification, then print invalid user ID to the display window. If the first name, last name, or birthday fields are left empty, then print invalid fname, etc. Print fname, first name, last name. You will have been breathing for X number of days, where X number is the returned by your dateDiff function. Remember to convert milliseconds to days and only return the integer whole number of days. If the number of days is less than 365 times 18, then print you are probably not old enough to take this class. Use document.getElementById.enterHTML to display results and information messages on the display window. Create a for loop that loops 20 times and use code similar to let string equal blank, string equals string.pad start, integer x is the loop counter. To print 20 lines of x's from 1 to 20 x's, the first line should have a single x and the 20th line should have 20 x's. Your x's should be printed on the display page as depicted in the example below. Make sure you understand and explain a for loop, pad start, enter HTML, and what the DOM document object model is. And it should look something like this when we're done. So, this is what I currently have. I currently have a nice field text box that is in a field set. We are using the form method, and the form method is post. There is post and there is get. The action, normally your action, like I was saying before, this web page goes to nowhere if I were to submit this form. So there's a few ways that you can actually make the action a dummy action, such as this, which this is supposed to redirect back to your current URL. Or there's this, which should just put the number sign up in your address bar when you try to submit the form. OnClick is the what we want to happen whenever we click the button. It's your ID. Then I have the field set tags. This is a useful fact here if you create tables or if you create input boxes. So you want to make your label for equal to, and then user ID is the first field that I want people to input text into. So the user ID is labeled user ID, which shows up right here. Anything you put in between these two tags is going to show up right here in front of your input box. The input type is text because I want to be able to actually type stuff in the input box. My ID is UID, which is in the directions what I was told to make constants, which need to be in variables down here, but we will get to that later. The on input, I want the user ID to validate, use the validate function, and this is all read in order from top to bottom. So whenever someone puts something in here, I want the function to be triggered in my JavaScript function down here, and I want it to go over all these parameters with these regular expressions. Basically, I want them to check for capital letters, lowercase letters, or numbers. And it can't be shorter than 8 characters, and it must be at least it must be between 8 to 12 characters. And this is the thing that I wanted to show you. If you wrap all of your tags in a label, then it will actually make the web page a lot easier to use, because you can actually go over here and click on this and it will go to that form field instead of just clicking on this. So if you wanted to click this, it would start here. If you want to click this, it would start here. It's just useful, something in the future to keep in mind. And then you want to put breaks on the very end. So when you put a break, it'll go to the next line. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope that you got some good value out of today's video. There'll definitely be a part 2 where I go over the complete lesson and show you guys a final project. So if you liked today's video, please subscribe for more, and y'all are wonderful.